There's so much that you guys do on a daily basis that pushes the needle forward to make things happen. Let's talk about your podcast real fast. So who wants to start?
Go ahead. I mean, I don't even know if Zach knows this. It's been like a dream of mine to have a podcast.
No, I did not know that.
So I think I even, Coach Pat, who we work with as an executive leadership coach, I told him last year that was one of my goals was to start a podcast, and I never did. I scrapped it. So this is news to him right now. So he did fulfill a bucket list item for me, but
making dreams come true here at Rohrman Toyota.
This is how Zach and I work, right? So it's like, I kind of have these ideas, and my personality is very strategic and tiptoey, and like I don't want to commit to it. And he goes, "Hey, I bought a bunch of podcast equipment. We're starting on Friday." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
So, Episode 1.
I mean, that's legitimately, I think, how it started.
I would agree. And I think that's why it's worked so well for us to obviously try something different. For us, it was like, hey man, I feel like there's a lack of communication of what's going on with our decision making in the corporate and the business sense, to the whole team being aware of it, to also knowing why do we brand ourselves with a vendor, or why do we brand ourselves with a specific company.
That's right.
And then the other part is, now being in this dealership for 10 years, like I've had so many opportunities that others won't get just because of the position they're in. So it's like, how do I maybe open a back door to them coming into the house and seeing exactly why we're doing what we're doing?
Yeah.
So that's the unique part about it. And I would say Austin nailed it. That is how we work together. We will get to the same target. He'll go right, I'll go left, I'll zigzag, he'll be straight line, and I'll come to it and be like, I got a great idea. He's like, it's already done. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. But like, there's so much great alignment with having those kind of conversations. Yeah. And so we talked about innovation before. That's one of your core concepts you guys have within Rohrman. So innovating, creating new ideas, but also inspiring others and also attracting new talent. So what kind of like feedback have you already seen so far with your podcast, Austin?
Yeah, so I think a lot of this started back when I made the Cribs video, when we were, we had a manager change at the Toyota store here. Sure. And so we were looking for a service manager, and I just was like, basically at rock bottom. We did this Cribs video. Yeah. Logan, who is our social media guy, he like shot everything and pieced it all together. And I got like 12 resumes out of this thing.
No way.
We didn't hire anybody off of it, but I had a ton of access and interviews. And I was like, man, there might be something to this.
Sure.
Right. So kind of getting back to the point with the podcast, it's like just building that reputation and building our brands online, because it's like Zach and I, our name's getting out there, but we're really doing it for our roles at the Rohrman Auto Group. Like,
that's right.
We love this family. We love this business, and we're so committed here to the group. And so, man, how can we push the group into the next phase, and how does it help us at the end of the day? Right. We've already had tons of people reaching out to us like, this is amazing. Cool. We want to be on the podcast, get us on. And so I think the more that we grow ourselves as experts and just talk about like what we're doing here and what we're working on, people just naturally get engaged with that.
Yeah, and they see the conversation, they like seeing that, and also the leaders involved. So like Trey has been on one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So getting Trey involved, maybe one day you're going to have Ryan involved in that too.
Yeah. July 9th, be ready.
We got him scheduled, So Trey's podcast was awesome because he told the one story about like he almost didn't even get hired into the group because of his driving record.
That's right.
So like neither of us knew that. We've known Trey for a long time. And so
we knew he had a driving issue, but we didn't know that it cost him a job.
Even at 18.
And Trey, Trey even said like the feedback that he's gotten from that has been so cool to hear people reaching out and say, man, that was really cool to hear you on the podcast.
That's right.
And different things. So.
Yeah, well, just having that conversation, even for employees internally, but also to attract people that might want to work here that really can understand what the culture is like. Yeah. I mean, that this is easy for me to say because I see a lot of dealers all day long, but Rohrman is very much different than other dealers out there. Yeah. The investment in the community, the investment in the team, and then also just the willingness to try new ideas.
Yeah.
Zach, talk about that for a second. You guys are really willing to try new creative things as long as it's worthwhile. So,
it may not even be worthwhile. We'll try it. I think that's the beauty is, again, I always make this joke, and it's probably not as fitting as it was when, I've been in the industry for 10 years. I've been only with this store. So when I was 25 and had the opportunity, it was easy to say, well, they allow a 25-year-old to make decisions. Well, now when I'm starting to get up there in age, it's not as powerful as it once was.
Yeah.
But it's still the fact that like we're a business that's still young. It's been a family business established forever. Our CEO is only 40. So when we go to him and we're like, hey, we have this crazy idea, if he doesn't understand it, he's willing to trust and give us the power to make those decisions. And
for sure,
that's what I love about this business. I worked at an industry for 4 days before I said, I'm out, I quit.
Yeah.
Because I was like, how do I get promoted? And they're like, oh, well, it's 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah.
And the Rohrman organization was like, show me you can master this set and we'll move you on to the next. And I'm sure that resonates with a lot of listeners that like, that's the car business and what we all fell in love with. It was like, put in what you're good at, do what you need to do, and you'll have that opportunity. And in the Rohrman organization, that's the same way ideas work. Show me that you have a track record of success with what you're doing, and we'll let you run wild. And that may mean that you're wild, and that it may not be a good idea, and we'll come back and recap that. But it's like, let's try it. And for us right now, we're really pushing kind of that content house here at Rohrman Toyota. So it's like, how do we give a podcast studio to all employees? So if another employee wants to launch one, great. We have a green screen room. How do you want to go film a crazy commercial? Great, do it. If you want to do something crazy with your staff and your team, like, we put a budget behind employees and say, like, hey, you want to go out and you want to do business cards a different way, and that's you knocking on doors? We'll give you $100 a month. Go spend that as a budget, and we'll fund it so that you can be the face, and we'll be just the financial side. So trying to be different.
How great. So on the variable side, how do you guys lead your teams and create that great culture? And what advice would you give other dealers that want to try the same thing?
Yeah, so it always starts small. At the very beginning for me, it was when I was actually in the finance office in my career. I was realizing very quickly that I hated working at a dealership. I hated that every Saturday was a yelling meeting about how terrible we were, we hire great people, but we all are idiots and we don't know what we're doing. And I think that wasn't a product of the leadership. I think it was a product of the auto industry.
Sure.
That they came up in an auto industry where that was acceptable in the norm, so that's just what it was going to be. So when I was blessed to have the opportunity to run as a general sales manager, it was like, all right, we're scrapping everything. We're throwing it away. We're cutting commission. I'm done with having a car that pays me $1,000 or pays me $100 Mini. Customer loves the Mini, and I'm going to go sell the $1,000 because it's my paycheck. So it's like, how do we have a pay plan that has commission in it, but also drives them to sell the best product for the customer? That was the first step for us. The second step was, how do we go out and we start hiring great people? So our interview process has really little to do with sales, more to do with personality, past work history, drive, effort, competitiveness. And then the last question we always ask is, if you literally had no financial ties to anything, what would you do professionally? Podcasters, YouTube, social media, TV, professional athlete, what would it be? And we want to see someone light up. And when they light up, we go, you can do this job. Because that's how it happens. When a customer goes, I love the car, I think this is the one, I'm nervous about money, and the salesperson lights up and goes, the money's the easy part, you found the car, that's always so hard, come inside, let's get it done. That's all this is. And that's this industry to a T. So that's where we change what we say, the automotive industry. Again, we may not know. It may be the end of our career when we actually see the fruits of our labor, but we're going to try every day. And we're bought into it.
Austin, what about on the fixed ops side? I know it's a little bit harder with fixed because traditionally it's a little bit slower to move. It's a lot more legacy employees. How do you guys move culture forward on the fixed ops side?
So I think what I've learned with the fixed ops side is it's okay not to have everyone involved. Because not everyone wants to be involved.
I think that's such a good point.
I think one of the coolest things I did was we did a technician advisory council. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pull together a couple technicians like once a month. I'm going to buy pizza for them. Typical manager, right?
Sure,
You got to buy pizza for
pizza?
them. But what I was really trying to do with that was to bring guys in from other stores because they always have questions about, I have a Hyundai in here. I have a question for my Hyundai store or Kia. So I really just wanted to build those relationships. And what it turned into was we created a couple different forms that we use now with the write-up process. I think of the first one was the diagnostic worksheet. So they were like, we're tired of advisors not getting all the information that they need. So we came up with a diagnostic worksheet. I had our marketing company put it together, so it's in a nice form, and that's part of our process. So I think what I learned with that, Zach has tried the incentives where it's like you go go-karting and you go throw in the axe, and the guys they're like, the technicians don't want to do it.
That's right.
They don't get behind it. But I think this has really helped. I just started an advisory council too, or advisor council. So we're starting to meet and again talk about some of those process things. So getting them more involved in business decisions, I think has been better than the more fun events that we've tried to do. So I think eventually we'll get them on board with some of that. But that's kind of one of the ways I've helped build it there.
What are the baby steps to execute something like that? Is it just getting together once a month with starting those conversations? Like, what does that look like?
So with the technician advisory council, I just went around to all the technicians. I said, I don't want you involved in this if you don't want to be involved in it. Don't think that your job rides on it. Like, I truly want you to be there because you're going to be there. Initially, I didn't provide lunch because I didn't want that to be a reason that people came, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's more what it is. And back to my comment of like, it's okay for not everybody to do it. I have 5 guys that show up. But for me, it's worth it. Like, just the things that have come out of it, and these are really my leaders, my tech council, right? The leaders. And so if I have anything, I'm going to go to them and they're going to help me with it.
Yeah, and really it opens up that conversation so that if you do run into a concern or a problem, some people who might be able to help you move towards a solution.
Yeah, and part of the thing is just start it. Like just start it and you'll see what it evolves into. I never would have thought it would evolve into what it did, right? But I'm so glad that it did. Had I not put the foot forward and at least just said, you know what, I'm just going to try this.
Yeah.
And, there was a real possibility that nobody was going to respond to it.
Yeah.
But, we had 7 to 8 guys, at the height of it that would come by and maybe this month they can't make it. Maybe the next month they can.
Yeah. So talk about the stores you oversee for a second. Which franchises are involved? What locations are they?
Yeah. So we have 2 Hyundai stores, one here in Lafayette and one in Indianapolis. There's a Honda store here, Toyota, there's Kia, and then there's a collision center.
Yeah, and kind of bringing them all together. Do you bring them all into one place when you do the technician advisory board? Yeah,
so we're here at Toyota. It's such a great facility.
Yeah.
We have a great space upstairs that we just meet here. It's super close for everybody, and that's one of the benefits of our group. With most of the stores being in Lafayette, it's a 5-minute drive, right, to get to any of them. So they don't really have an excuse not to show up.
Yeah, that's right. The Indianapolis one is a little bit further.
That's a little tougher one. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out. Do you like zoom them in? How does that work?
Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, Zach, what other advice would you give to dealers who are looking to up their game when it comes to culture? I mean, you guys have really developed something great to the point where it's seen on the outside of your company. People come in and say, hey, I want to be a part of that. They see your meet and greet, they see your trunk or treat, and they want to come in and really be involved in it. What advice would you give to dealers?
Well, I think the first thing is your staff. I mean, no matter, we talk about this all the time, processes are amazing, but processes are completely useless without people.
Yeah.
So the very first thing for us is the people have to match the process. And for us, if our culture is going to be what we define it and we list it as this amazing thing, when a customer walks in, they got to see our people. So what's the attitude of the people? What are you pouring into them? How are you investing? And then the second side of it is consistency. And that's the hardest part. Anyone in the dealership that says, I'm going to make a change, because we're a sick business that's only 30 days and that's how we view it, it's always a sprint. And we put profits ahead of people, and then it's so hard to come back from it because one time a person feels like they get burnt, all of those words that you put out there are now completely useless. So for us, it was really big investing in the people. And again, that goes back to the hiring process that we talked about of we're going to hire great people, and we're going to find out what actually motivates you, and then we're going to find out, do you fit into our culture? And to Austin's point, it may not be everybody. We've passed on 20, 30 car guys on resumes where they come in, they go, I'll sell you a bunch of cars. And you go, I'm out. This isn't about selling cars. This is about being a great person. And again, continually investing in them for that opportunity.
And I think it's been crazy, like where we found people too, because now our hiring funnel is so wide because we don't care if you have car experience.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when I became a service manager, like I didn't know how to change oil. Like I'm in the car business and I I'm not a car guy really. Like, I hate to say that, but we've hired people from Jimmy John's, from Annie Ann's Pretzels, from gas stations, from pizza places.
I have a youth pastor on my staff.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. At one point I had 2 pastors on my staff, and I was like, what are you guys doing? They're like, well, we meet. And I said, what for? To pray. And I was like, good call. We need somebody on our team doing that.
Someone's got to make up for it, right?
Like, somebody's got to be here to help us out. So, it is true. To Austin's point, I mean, we literally, our sphere of influence has grown so exponentially because of this opportunity and culture that, I mean, we get some crazy applications where it's like, why would you want to be in this business? And I think those are the ones that I'm kind of drawn to more, because that's kind of me. I never was going to be in the automotive business. I think if I had to take a poll, probably 80% of the people in automotive said I would never be in the automotive business.
Or got there by accident.
Yeah, right? So I think those are the ones that I got a passion for as well. So it's been successful.